pockets elsewhere. While this may signal the end of its territorial control in the country, the group has proved to pose a continued threat in the region and beyond, with the rise of targeted suicide bombings.
Well, for more on Syria, let's speak to Kyle Orton, a research fellow in London at the Henry Jackson Society. Mr. Orton, thank you for speaking to France 24. The regime said that the loss of al-Bukamal signaled the collapse of IS in the region. Is that accurate in your opinion?
No, I think it's mistaken twice, in the sense that I don't think they actually have taken al-Bukamal yet. They seem to have captured some villages and maybe some suburbs on the outskirts of it, which is part of this strategy. We saw it in Mayadeen, further up the river, where they claim to have captured it, which is mostly an effort to keep away the American-backed forces because of the rules of engagement mean if they say they have it, the American allies won't approach it. In the other sense, it's the territorial holdings are not the way to measure whether ISIS is defeated or not. They were thrown out of all their territory in 2008, and they still managed to come back because the political circumstances allowed it, and the political circumstances are much worse this time.
You mentioned the rules of engagement. How might this play out? Because at the moment, it's the U.S.-backed Kurdish forces in control of Raqqa, but I believe the Syrian regime, they would like to take that city back out of their hands as well, wouldn't they?
They would, and the PKK forces, which dominate the umbrella organization the Americans support, the SDF, will be quite willing to cut deals with the regime. They've already done it in Manbij. They allowed the regime's secret police in exchange for the regime continuing to provide, as it does through the entirety of the Rojava area, the Kurdish zone, key funds and security nodes that keep that statelet functioning. So I'm not actually sure that the Kurdish instrument that the Americans have is one to confront the regime or Iran, which some people are suggesting that the Kurds should be the instrument for.
And as we look ahead to the next chapter in Syria, so I'm wondering what a post-IS might look like. The West before was adamant that President Bashar al-Assad had to go. It seems that position may have softened over time, though.
Yes, I mean, in a sense, it's a concession to reality, which is that unless we're prepared to move in and help throw him out, he's going to stay. On the other hand, though, I don't think there is a post-IS phase in the sense that we're not beyond IS. They're still there. They still hold some territory even in Syria and Iraq. And beyond that, they're already reviving in areas that we have supposedly cleared them from. So I don't think that the war has even come close to being over yet. And Assad still is the origin and the fuel for it. So while he's there, I suspect it carries on.
And real quickly, on that note, the idea of this IS threat still existing, there have been a lot of reports of many of their fighters fleeing or surrendering. If they're fleeing, are they staying in the region, or might they be regrouping elsewhere beyond Syria's borders?
I think there is a foreign fighter problem in the sense that there will be some who come back and they have been trained, and that's going to pose a problem for European and other security services for a long time. But actually, the most noticeable thing is that they're not standing and fighting. So even in al-Bukamal, the reports are that the fighters have just disappeared. So they've gone somewhere, and we know that the last time they went into these villages and small towns along the Euphrates, and then they were able to come back. So I suspect that's what they've done this time. So what looks like, or what's being claimed anyway, as them fleeing in defeat is them regrouping for the next time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Orton. Kyle Orton, research fellow from Henry Jackson Society.